And hello again, this is Tim from V7 Software Development. Today, in tutorial number 5, we're going to be covering the dispatch calendar and the technician's timeline. So let's get started. Now, if you've watched the previous tutorials, numbers 1 through 4, you already know how to create a service order and send it to the schedule. So I've already sent a few service orders to the schedule for demonstration purposes, so we're going to go right to the schedule. And the calendar will open up. Here we have month view. Now, the calendar remembers what your last view was the last time you used the program, and it will open up to that screen the next time. So here we have February. And in the month of February, you can see we have 5 service calls. These are the demonstration calls that I entered earlier. As with any calendar, you can scroll through the months right over here. We'll bring it right back to February 1st. And if you look over here to the calendar on the side, this will show you the view and the days that you are looking at right now. So right now in the view area, we're looking at February 1st through March 6th. And you can see that right here. Let's take a look at another view. We'll go to work week. Now, work week will show us the days Monday through Friday. And you do not see our service calls here because we are on the wrong day of the month. We are on February 1st through February 5th. And you can see that over here in the sidebar. February 1st through February 5th. Go down here to the week of the 22nd. You can see that these are bolded out. That tells you that there are calls on these days on the schedule. So we'll click on Monday, and that brings up all of our calls for that week. Now, this is a little different than a typical calendar. This is a technician's calendar. The calls are divided by technician. I've got 2 of them entered in the system, Technician Smith and Technician Daniels. And as we see here, this is Monday, February 22nd, and we have 2 techs on the schedule for that day, Smith and Daniels. So all of Smith's service calls for Monday are in this column right here. All of Daniel's service calls for Monday are in this column. Now you may notice the numbers right next to the technician. These are the employee numbers. And that's there in case you have 2 Smiths, so you can just differentiate. So let's look at some of these service calls in detail. Let's take Daniels here on Monday the 22nd. His first service call is scheduled at 7 a.m. and it's blocked out until 10. Now, one of the nice things about this is that you can drag and drop these calls wherever you wish. Let's say the customer calls in and says they can't be there until 8. So we'll just click, drag this right down to 8, and there we go. Now if we double click on that, we can see the call detail. It'll open it up and it'll show the time 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. blocked out. So by dragging and dropping that service call, it automatically updates everything in the detail here. You're all set. Click Save and Close. Now this not only works for the time, but it also works for a change of day. Let's say the customer wants this at 12 noon on a Tuesday. We'll take this call, we'll drag it right over here to Tuesday, and we'll put it at 12. Double click it, and there we go. It's already changed the detail screen, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Now, another thing we can do with it, suppose we allowed too much time, and we want to adjust the amount of time that's blocked out for this call. We'll simply select it, and we'll resize it. And now we have 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. blocked out. We can enlarge it. And we've got 7 a.m. until 10:30 p.m. blocked out. In this detail screen, you can just close it out. If you haven't made any changes, you do not need to click Save and Close. You can just hit the X. Let's move on over to the week view. Now again, we want to click on the week where our service calls are, And if you'll notice here, we have Monday, February 22nd. This was just showing us one day for our technicians, Smith and Daniels. Now, if we had 5 technicians, there would be 5 columns here. To scroll through the days of the week, we can go up here to the right arrow and look at the different days. Go back. Alternatively, you can click on a day right here in this calendar, and it will take you to that day. 25th, 24th, 23rd, 22nd, and nothing on Sunday. We'll go back to the 22nd. All right, let's take a look at the menu bar up at the top. Starting on the far left, we have little navigation arrows here. This will take us through the calendars right here. Click the right one and you'll go through the days forward. And click the left one to go back. Next, we have a save button. Next, we have a printer icon. If you'd like to print the schedule, print the current view. We're in day view right now. And moving over, you can create a new entry on the calendar. Rather than sending it from a service order or a proposal, you can create a new one right here. Same way you can delete an item from the calendar. Delete appointment? No. Categories. Now, if you've watched our previous tutorials on preferences, you're familiar with this. As a service call is sent to the schedule, it will be color-coded. As you see here, sales calls are in a dark red, and right here is a sales call on the schedule. And you can change all these colors and fonts to suit your needs. We'll close that. Next, we have some calendar settings. A few different things in there. We're not going to go into that right now. And let's say you're on the calendar, some random day here, and you want to bring it to today's date. Just click the Today button right there, and it'll bring you to today. And here we have a refresh button, which is handy in a network environment. The system does update itself in real time when on a network. But sometimes if the network's a little slow and you just want to make sure you have the most current real-time data on your screen, you can click the refresh button. All right, and we're back to the month view. Next, we're going to take a look at the timeline. So go right up here to the menu bar and click the timeline icon. And the timeline screen will open up. Now, what the timeline screen will show you is the different technicians and their booked time and their available times in a linear format. Now, as with the other calendar, we need to select a date range to view our service calls, and our demo service calls were in the week of the 22nd. So we're going to go up here to the drop-down calendar. We're going to click the 22nd, and that shows us the service calls we have on the 22nd for Technician Daniels and Technician Smith. Daniels is booked out from 1:30 to 7:30, roughly right there. Now down below here we have Smith, who is booked from 10 a.m. till noon. And the rest of this white area is open time. He's available to take service calls. Same with Daniels. We've got time before and time after. He's open. Now let's move on over. We can either go to the calendar to go to the next day, or we can just go down here to the slider and go right over to Tuesday, February 23rd. And there again we have 2 calls, one for Daniels and one for Smith. And I'm going to open this up a little more. I'm going to go down to the lower right-hand corner. Just drag that open. We can see more items on the timeline. We can even go full screen if we like. Now, let's say Technician Smith has a problem and he needs to take off work early this day, and you have to reschedule his call. You have to give the call to another technician. For instance, we have a proposal right here on Smith's timeline. He's not going to be available to do that at 8 p.m. So we're going to reschedule that with the customer, and we're going to drag it right here to 6 a.m. to Daniel's timeline. Now, that's going to overlap a little bit with this first service call. So we're going to have to call the customer. Let's say we reschedule that service call for 10 a.m. We'll just drag that right over here, and there we go. We've got the proposal at 6 a.m. for Technician Daniels, and we've got a service call at 10 a.m. for Technician Daniels. And this white space right here is free time. Now we only have 2 technicians in here for demonstration purposes, but you could have 30 technicians and they would all be listed right down here. And you could go over, there would be a scroll bar, and you could just scroll right down. You can have hundreds of technicians in there. And just a little tip, wherever you are on the screen, you can always go to the top to one of these bars, left click, and you'll get a drop-down calendar. Now right up here in the menu bar, we have a few options. We have the standard navigation buttons, save, and print. You can print the timelines if you like. And then we have some options here. Timescale, that's something you can play around with. That'll adjust the views here in the timeline. We won't get into too much detail there. Grouping, again, we won't get into that detail in this video. There are other various settings. You can set your work week. As we saw earlier, the work week that we were looking at was Monday through Friday. Now, if you always work on a Saturday, you can go ahead, click Saturday, and then Saturday will be included in your work week view on the calendar. Again, the Today button, that'll take you right to today's date, and the typical refresh button. Now we're back on the month view. Something I did want to mention is the little drop-down box here that shows the technicians. In this month view, we are just viewing the calls for Technician Smith. Now, if we'd like to see Daniels, we just select Daniels from the drop-down list. And taking that a step further, we can click on one of Daniels' appointments, and over here in the left-hand panel, we'll see the details for that appointment. We can do that for all of Daniel's appointments on this schedule. Same for Smith. And there are the details. And as always, you can double click on an appointment. It'll bring up the edit screen for the details, where you can make changes to the appointment if necessary, and then click Save and Close. Well, guys, that covers the timeline. We're going to close that. We're back to our main customer screen. And that's it for today. We'll see you next time in our next tutorial. Until then, this is Tim from V7 Software Development.